Welcome back to Next Gen Investing. It's now time to discuss a winner of the session here as we are looking at Sarepta Therapeutics, which is up over 17%. I'd like to welcome in now George Tsilis, Senior Markets Correspondent for the network. So, George, we saw some downside yesterday and then the reversal today following some FDA lifting the safety hold here on a major therapy for the company. So walk us through the story.
Well, I mean, this has been an ongoing story for Sarepta, which is a clinical biotechnology company, and the FDA actually advised the company to voluntarily suspend the sale of their muscular dystrophy drug. It's a gene therapeutic. In fact, they're one of the only companies that provides this type of therapeutic. It's called Levitus, and they did do so, and that's caused the stock, even if you go back to March, to gap to the downside and just continue lower. And it looks like right now there's, of course, an FDA panel advisory that they could continue selling contingent upon them updating some guidance, but also providing some updated data and clinical trials to demonstrate the effectiveness and safety of the drug, because there were some patients that were suspected of perishing or dying because of the drug. And so with that said, you are seeing the stock recover back to the upside as a result of this change in tone from the FDA. But it's still an ongoing process for Sarepta to kind of demonstrate that their drugs are going to be effective at both treating the aspects of gene therapeutic muscular dystrophy, but at the same time do it so safely. But nonetheless, some of the analysts right now are still looking at this with some caution, but are starting to look constructively bullish on the name. Because if you look at the last year, the stock is down 88%. In fact, if you look at the last 5 years, it's down almost 90%. Most of those losses came in the last year because of the fact that they requested, and they did voluntarily suspend the sale of their primary muscular dystrophy drug. But with that said, the news is very positive today, and some of the analysts are moving their targets. Oppenheimer moved their target to $37. They've got an outperform from sector perform. Barclays did talk about how the worst case scenario for the company is over, but they did move their target to 22 from 10, equal weight from underperform, and JP Morgan increased their target to 24, but they do maintain a neutral rating from an underperform rating.
George, that's the Barclays one really sticks out to me, because I think it's almost like if you looked at the macro picture, we kind of compare it to what we saw with the trade policy. It was like the trade policy looked really, really scary suddenly in April, and it kind of spiraled. And then it was like we pushed it out 90 days. And it was like, okay, the worst case is gone for a little bit, but it's going to be something that has to be addressed in the future. Is that kind of the situation here?
It is. And I mean, there's a lot of, it's kind of mixed right now. And if you look at the analyst ratings, they are still rather mixed, because the range, I mean, if you look at Oppenheimer 37, if you look at Barclays 22, that's still a very large variance between those two targets for the stock. That gives you an idea that the aspects of clarity is still gray for that matter. I will say this, looking at the price action today, it's very positive, but it's still trading below the 50-day moving average. So that's important to keep in mind. The slope of that 50-day moving average is also down or negative, something to keep in mind. But the company has also cut their EPS guidance significantly for this year. It's down to $5.90 of a loss. Most of that came last quarter, where they demonstrated a loss of $3.77. But they are expecting right now, based on analyst consensus, to earn a profit once again in 2026. So for what it's worth, this could be an inflection bottom, but it may be too soon to tell, because again, the trend is still lower, but significantly lower since particularly looking at March, when the drug was discontinued.
Yeah, and to your point, even with a 17, almost 18% move to the upside today, George, we're still down about 86.5% on the year.
Yes.
So that is just, I mean, goes to show the volatility of this name, frankly. That is a wild stat. But appreciate it. We are out of time. George Tsilis for all of his insights.